What up, what up, what up? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to it. Another beautiful episode on a beautiful evening out in Johannesburg, South Africa. This is The Brick. And of course, my name, you may have seen me here and there, heard me here and there. My name is Juice, Sensei Juice if you like, father to Angel and Melody if you like even more. And today, we are bringing you a very interesting episode where we decided to switch a few things up. You know, we'll bring you the usual updates on what's been happening around the game. You might see that one of our guys is not on here today, but we decided to switch it up and bring you a special episode with what I believe is possibly a special address. Something that will hopefully inspire someone out there because the conversations continue to happen, you know. But before I get into all of that, I would like to introduce to you my man that you all familiar with, my main man, Mr. Cabby Magongwa. Cabs, what's up, man?
What's up, Juice?
How you doing?
It feels a little weird that I'm on this side of the... Oh, I always sit this side, but you know. You're the one introducing the show. You're doing a good job, man. You should take my job.
Yeah, I'm gunning for it. So, Cabs, you know, a lot of things have been happening in basketball. You know, in the past week, we just came out of March Madness where we saw a beautiful dose of college basketball. And what are some of your feelings about some of the things that have been happening?
Well, my feelings is that we don't have the tradition of the booze that you do not bring.
Oh, boo, no drinks.
Well, let me tell you, Juice promised us that there will be drinks up in here, sponsored by one of the main drinks. We were hoping the spirit of the NBA, obviously Hennessy. But yeah, you know, I just thought, just in case people are wondering what's going on, you know, like tradition is tradition, right?
Yeah, of course.
So we're breaking tradition today. We will resume with that tradition soon. But yeah, I love it. I mean, you know more about what's going on. I'm very excited about what is possible. If you go to my Facebook page, you'll see the picture that's on there when you talk about the NBA. Is that I'm chilling out there with Chris Paul, and we call him the point guard.
Yes,
I mean,
sir.
A lot of people have their own views about who's the best of the best out there, but I think this year is Chris Paul's year, and I hope we don't get injured, and I think it's going to be a good year. So with the run to the playoffs, man, I think the Phoenix are looking nice. The young team, Memphis Grizzlies, are looking nice.
Oh, man.
Obviously, you know, I like to shoot like Steph Curry, so the Golden State Warriors, they are out there. For me, that's the West, and that's what is exciting. In the East, we see Philadelphia. I mean, we know the Beard.
Oh, yeah, of course.
You know, those with beard will recognize that he's moved to the 76ers. He's making some really, really good contributions out there. Of course, Antetokounmpo, he is our African star, even though we know him as, you know, the
Greek freak. Yeah, of course.
You know, those two are really, really making some moves. What I'm surprised about is the Heat, man. I thought they kind of made it into the finals last year, and they're back there. I thought they were done, but they're right there at the top. So looks like we might be up for a really, really interesting playoffs.
It's going to be a bumpy ride, but very interesting so, because the other day there was a bit of a scuffle on the Heat bench where Jimmy Butler got into it with the coach and Udonis Haslem, you know, and everybody was saying, ooh, you know, that scuffle might just affect the team for the rest of the season. But they're a tight-knit team and they continue to really do their thing and focus in, because now they're definitely gearing in to get a good playoff run. So it will be interesting to see how they go into it.
Udonis Haslem must just leave the team. I think he had his run with Dwayne Wade and them. I think they gave him rings. I don't know why he's still in the team, but that's my view.
And interestingly enough, Jimmy Butler apparently said that Udonis is only irrelevant because of Dwayne Wade. That was a funny one right there.
That's the truth.
You know, that was a funny one.
Yeah.
But, you know, you've got other, you know, at this end of the season where that runs are getting more intense because everyone's getting ready for the playoffs. There are some key injuries, unfortunately, you know, which are part of the game. But you are seeing a few key players getting injured, and hopefully it won't affect too much of the team's playoff run. You know, you just mentioned the Grizzlies right now. Ja Morant is currently out injured, but the guys continue to do well.
Yep.
You know, and earlier on in the season while he was out, they went on a 10 10-game winning streak. Even now, they continue to pick it up, and they're playing very well. In fact, the Grizzlies are 18-2 without Ja Morant playing. So that just goes to show you just what a beautiful core they have over there in Memphis, man. So
look, in order to win it all, you seriously have to be deep. That's
Yes.
just the bench's got to be deep. You need to know how to play without your star players. You know the star player, when he's there, he's going to make the decisions. He's going to make the last shot. He's going to make the last decisions. But ultimately, it's about the team. It's about how deep you are. It's about how well coached you are. And I think, those teams that have that are the ones that are going to see themselves in the finals.
and that chemistry plays a very integral part as well.
Yeah, I see you're so excited about the NBA, man. We right straight into the show. You haven't told the people what's coming up.
Oh, man,
What is it that they must look forward to? It, it's all good. I'll help you out. It's just one of those things.
I mean, right now, man, and I mean, you mentioned the tradition, and with just to mention over there that our guy Q is not in today. I think he's preparing for his trip to Cairo, and I know you'll be traveling with him, so that should be an interesting one.
Look, it's probably not with him, but definitely with the Tigers. I mean, that's the plan. You never know. God. In Muslim, they say inshallah, since we're going to be in the Muslim space, inshallah.
Absolute.
God willing, man, I was invited to travel with the Tigers. We got some arrangements that made it possible. Unfortunately, we had a chat with Al, and Al won't be joining the team. And I negotiated a spot. And I've never been to Egypt. And for me, any kind of travel that includes basketball is probably the best touristic moment for me. I get to see the place. I get to be with people that enjoy what I enjoy. I get to watch some of the best basketball, and I think I'm going to enjoy it very much.
Wow, that's definitely going to be a big one, and we'll definitely, get into that a bit later on. When we speak about the X's and O's, about the trip and everything else that you are possibly expecting to see happen over there.
Man, it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, absolute. And right now, though, I'd like to actually cross it over. I know the month of March has passed. But in a basketball calendar, we are still within March Madness. Where we are seeing some of the best basketball in college right now, and which I think for me is one of the reasons, again, why you are seeing so much intensity within the NBA, because the entertainment
can pull out here and there and everywhere. It looks like a very exciting season. I think it's an important part of the entire structure of the entire of basketball in America. I mean, without the NCAA, you don't find the stars. I mean, these guys are probably gunning for the number one picks when the draft comes. So this is where the stars are made, and I'm sure their girlfriends are already thinking, I might just be with the next millionaire in
future
the NBA.
So, absolutely.
The basketball future ex-wives are already positioning themselves nicely in in their little rooms in college
at the dorm rooms. and let me tell you, I think this coming weekend, it's the Final Four for both the women and the men, and I believe we are in for easily one of the biggest games that we've ever seen.
Tell us about it, man.
College basketball.
You're the one who knows all about it. Tell us why is this year more exciting than all the other years? It looks like there's Cinderella teams out there.
Absolutely. So shout outs first of all to St. Peter's. St. Peter's is a school out in New Jersey, and they made a tremendous run that went so deep into the tournament that it's regarded as a Cinderella run, where an unknown team just comes out of nowhere, knocks out a few good teams, and they progress into the tournament. They knocked out Murray State, that's Ja Morant's former school. They knocked out number 2 ranked Kentucky, and they knocked out Purdue. And that on its own, for a school that is ranked at number 15, is a big achievement. Yeah. And for anything in every tournament, you'll always hope that there's someone that will make such a run, because you don't want only the good schools to only come out.
So which ones are the top 4?
The Final 4, you've got Duke, North Carolina, which is the most storied rivalry in college basketball.
What are you wearing again?
Of course, North Carolina is the same school that saw the likes of Michael Jordan, James Worthy, Vince Carter.
And look at what is being featured today.
Interestingly enough, and Duke as well. Storied college, the likes of Grant Hill and many other legends came through Duke University. So this is the first time in the history of this rivalry that they will meet at such a level later on in the tournament, which is the Final Four.
I would have thought the rivalry will come because they've met in the Final Four, the finals. I mean, how is it a rivalry if they've never played in the finals?
Same state, I suppose. You know, it's like a Soweto derby, if you'd like, in soccer, where Kaizer Chiefs and Pirates, you know, in their come up.
They've been to the finals. That's what
they've been to the finals, but you know, looking at how they're playing now, they won't be in any finals anytime soon. No, no smack talk to them. But hey, you know, and again, another part of the story becomes this is Coach K's last run in the tournament, and he's retiring after this. So everyone is hoping for that walk into the sunset with the championship, you know. But for me, I'm definitely hoping that my Tar Heels are going to spoil that party.
That's right.
You know, so
and the other two, so you said it's North Carolina.
So it's North Carolina and Duke, and then on the other side you've got number 1 ranked Kansas taking on Villanova. Wow. You know, again, another.
Kansas, Durant used to go there.
Durant went to Texas.
Texas
Longhorns. So so the Kansas Jayhawks, they have claimed that James Naismith, the inventor of basketball, you know, that one of the first programs that ever came up was in Kansas. So it's again another storied franchise.
Cool.
Storied school, you know.
Sounds
So
good.
Yeah. So this weekend is going to be another humdinger of a weekend when it comes to college basketball.
And you can catch it where?
You can catch it on ESPN.
Not SABC?
Nah, man. I mean, hey. Unfortunately, it won't be in every household in the country. It will be televised on ESPN.
ESPN 1, ESPN 2, or whichever one?
I think whichever one, because they might just shuffle on the evening. You know, the ladies will be on Saturday morning, and then the guys will be on Sunday morning.
Oh, it's going to be interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, looking forward to that. You know.
So what's happening locally, man?
Locally, you've got the ICSL that's been running for a few weeks now.
I see UJ boys are looking good out there.
UJ boys are looking good. I saw a team called the Josie Kings. Whoa. They scored the first century in the season, beating Wits University. Ooh. So I'm just trying to find out who is in that team, because if you're going to score a century in any league or game, you definitely worth the look.
You're scaring me because, you know, like I play in that league, right? And we already lost 2 games to the Blues and Takis, both by 2 points. Takis this past Sunday, after a nice little, buzzer beater to take it to overtime.
Oh, yeah.
And it's fun. What's scary about it is, you know, we playing as old men, playing the young kids, and they're still beating us by 2. I'm worried about basketball in this country.
It speaks about the start of the game, for sure. Because, I mean, if the experience, you know, if the young bucks are not able to hang with the experience, then it goes to show. You know, the fundamental of the game definitely needs to be looked into. You know?
And JBL, man?
JBL is tipping off this coming week.
In fact, we haven't spoken about the ladies. Just now we speak about the men basketball in
college.
No. Well, college, it's all right. We can talk about that next time. I'm talking about the ICSL men and then the women.
Oh, yeah.
Who's looking good out there?
I haven't seen much of the ladies yet.
Really? Oh, okay.
But I saw that. I think there's about 7 teams.
Yeah. 7
ladies teams. So it will be interesting to actually, as the league progresses and warms up into, you know, traction, and we get more eyes in there. And hopefully one of these days we'll also get Tiamo or even Manyani coming out and hanging out and talking more about that.
Yeah, you're a VNJ, person. I mean, you young legend, you Tigers, you VNJ. I mean, like,
I'm basketball.
You basketball.
Yeah,
I love
it.
I'm
basketball. I've got personal relationships with everyone through the game, and for me, the hardest thing would be to support only one team. Support only one structure type thing, you know what I mean? So with all my relationships, man, I support everybody. But I mean, again, when it comes to lacing up, you know, I'll always be young legends or Josie Nuggets or Phenoms if Richard is watching, because I'm that's again, I'm a ambassador for Phenoms.
What's that position again?
PowerPoint forward guard.
My man.
All day, all night.
Tell us about the JBL.
So the JBL is tipping off this coming weekend.
Yeah.
The games are lined up, and it's going to be just fire. You know, games like teams like Phonics, Josie Nuggets, Rising Suns will be in action. You know, and looking at the schedule on Saturday, it's just going to be fireworks.
And you got
Again,
some of the-
it just adds on to just the mood of the entire weekend for basketball in its entirety.
Yeah, and you got some of the BNL teams up in there, Egoli Magic.
Yeah. So Egoli Magic as well is looking to have a team in the Premier Division because they want to continue to grow and have guys active throughout the year and not only coming in together through BNL and stuff, you know.
Makes sense.
So I think Lesego and the organization are doing very well to make sure that even Tshwane Suns, you know, the Rising Suns is a breakaway from Tshwane Suns, again, to just keep them together in the BNL off season so that once the BNL starts, they know that the bulk of their players have been in action together.
Cool. Well, tell them what's happening after the break, because clearly, you know, we already started talking. We haven't told the people what to expect. So I'm not supposed to be an anchor.
So ladies and gentlemen, as mentioned, this is a special edition episode where we are going to go into a deep conversation about the presidential run for Basketball South Africa, which happened last year, November. We're going to just delve into a bit more detail with my man here in terms of everything that may have transpired and some of the things that he continues to hope to see within the structure and everything else related to basketball in our country. So after the break, stay tuned because we are about to get right into it. Lace them up tight. Back at it, ladies and gentlemen. As mentioned, we out here with our guy, our resident anchor. I just decided to run a steal on him for today. Today we're going to talk about everything that transpired during the presidential elections for Basketball South Africa. But obviously before then, we talk about everything else that started the conversation and the thought on where did the thought start all the way to actually coming to fruition and entering that election run. So, Mr. Cabs.
Yes, sir.
Talk about it, man.
Man.
Everybody knows you.
Yeah.
Basketball knows you.
Been around the block.
Where did it start?
Look, man, my passion for basketball goes back 35 some years. It is so deep. I watch nothing else. I do not play anything else. For me, basketball is everything. And yeah, I started in Lesotho high school. First of all, I was born. A lot of people think I'm Lesotho because I relate with Lesotho, obviously, and I don't mind that. You know, it's always a good culture, something that I can mingle with and fit in perfectly. So I'm from Pretoria. I'm on Skral Temba. What's it? And I went to Lesotho in 1986. Jesus. A lot of people who I still play against were not born.
That's
and were not
eons ago.
Yeah, so I just saw some young boys playing ball. One guy did a trick between the legs, between this, and then threw the ball up, went in. I was like, hey, look how cool that thing is. I was a soccer boy. And, played just casually with the guys at the high school. 88, 89, until my high school 90. And then since then, man, I got into the University of Lesotho, and we were the cooler boys who knew basketball, and we were mixing with all the other guys from all over Africa. We had like the Zimbabweans really knowing how to ball. They knew about basketball. They were always on top of their game. We played in the Kuksa Games, played in Namibia, played in Lesotho. I mean, obviously we were in Lesotho, played in Botswana and Swaziland. And from there, I played basketball, man, at the University of Pretoria, and I was an all-star there, the national all-star, USA all-star. Played at Wits. We went to the finals And that's where, when I was still at Takis, that's where I scored those 13 threes that I'm famous for.
The infamous 13 threes.
That's
the
why
burner.
I think I can shoot. Maybe not anymore, but that's something that I could say I'm a little proud of. And over time, I just realized, whenever I'm at work, I'm not myself. It's not my passion. I wanted to really do basketball as something that pays my bills. And I was blessed enough to have, the likes of Michael Finley, Mike Shaw, who at the time were running Mountain Associates, who were running some really big basketball programs, cool events. And I wanted to do like them. You could see the guys are doing like really cool stuff, and their lives was basketball. And I did not understand how people like them, Fresh, and all these guys who could be on radio, loving what they do and earning a living off of it, why I can't do that. So I decided, no, I'm leaving my job. I knew that even if I made half the salary that I was making at the time when I was in corporate, I'll be good because my heart will be where it's supposed to be. And that's where Dark Child Productions was formed. It was 2004. And at the time, I did not even have the thought of, or a business case of how this is going to work. All I knew is I want to do what Mike Finley and Mike Shaw were doing, and I want to do it and earn from it. And as I left, I did not even have a clue where my salary is going to come from. Cashed in my provident fund. At the time it was 50,000, and it was a lot.
50K.
50K back then. I was like, I could live like this for a while before I made my first one run out of basketball. I did a deal with with Newtown, and that's when we established the Newtown Playgrounds. That's where our first event was featuring the likes of the Pro Kid, God bless his soul, guys from Tear Gas. I mean, we started hanging out with guys from Squatter Camp, and I started feeling like I'm fitting into the whole hip hop culture. And that ran for a little while. Joburg, the Johannesburg Development Agency supported us. They gave us offices and the space to do basketball events, and really that's where it started. And then from there, everybody kind of remembers what we did with the ESPN, with the Mentors, with the FNB Summer Basketball Tour. We became the agency of the NBA, to do the events. It was just one big, roller coaster where, you're just having this, that, and the other. And one of the biggest things that we did in basketball was that we had a show called the B-Ball Show on SABC.
So before you even proceed with that, think back to your first deal and your first sponsorship. How did that conversation go, and how did you actually get a buy-in to the company to say, listen, we're going to roll with you?
Yeah, so my first deal was really Joburg Development Agency. And I was looking in a magazine, and at the time, you don't have cell phones that could take nice pictures, but there was a picture of guys who were playing in somewhere, I'm assuming was in some really nice city in the US. And that picture depicted what I would love for Johannesburg to be at night. And I took that picture, and it was really all the words that I wanted to say, saying that, Joburg should be like this, especially because it was a time where the Joburg Development Agency was really had the slogan, work, play, and live in the city. And we were saying, well, this fits in perfectly with what it is that you're doing. And at the time I was introduced to the to JDA by Pakstau, who then obviously over time became the mayor of Joburg, of Joburg. And for me, it was really one thing that, I've got an idea, and there's some people who think this is an idea that would work. So they gave me 100,000 Rand worth of marketing and things that will make it happen. So we bought the hoops, we created like the whole vibe, and they sponsored the event but they said, you gotta go out there and make your own money. This is just for you to be able to host the events. And that's really how we started, and that for me was an amazing thing, because just on that I decided I'm quitting my job because I've got to start. And yes, everybody could say what they say about this country, but that was a big start for me. And of course the likes of Fresh, Lee, they gave me the platform to advertise my event, and they were supportive. We found ways to support it without even paying a lot of money. Yes, there was some money Joburg Development Agency put towards that, but it was a big learning curve, because I did not know how to run a business. I did not know what VAT is, how to pay taxes. All of that you had to find out in the business that, oh, these are the things I need to do.
Wow.
All I knew how to do was to do a good presentation. And that I learned from my corporate life, which is why sometimes it's good to be in corporate, learn what you learn, and then take those skills and put them in your passion. And that's how you become what you become.
Talk a bit about the relationship with ESPN, how that started, because that I can already picture the traction
Right.
from everything that you're doing. But how did the ESPN happen?
Yeah, so I was doing almost 100 presentation to 100 potential sponsors every month,
Wow.
knowing that, for every 100, maybe one might just pop.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And you are literally cold calling, you're telling people you're passionate. And the thing about it is you just don't stop because it's your life. You don't even feel like, I used to back then, used to tell my ex-wife, I got an idea. And it'll be like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. I work through it till about 5 in the morning and I'm up at 8 and I'm going to present. So I got to be introduced by actually Tepo, who's probably one of the best, Tepo Diteho, one
Yes,
of the,
sir.
the then best point guards, to a lady at DSTV called Georgina Mashiriza. And she loved my vibe. She loved what it is that I had to say and what it is that I was doing with basketball. And DSTV was behind pretty much most of my events that we were doing from support perspective. And they introduced me to some of the people within ESPN. Obviously, she was the lady who was looking after DSTV sales and mass market. And I showed her through basketball we can achieve some of her objectives.
Wow.
And that's how she brought in ESPN. It wasn't direct with ESPN, it was through DSTV because ESPN was obviously was a channel on the thing. And then we just got Channel O, YFM partnership, and that's how the celebrity basketball event came about.
Wow. Let me tell you, those were some of the marquee and biggest basketball events that I had ever seen at the time, especially here in Joburg. And to this day, very few events have happened that actually match everything about those events, from the celebrities to the actual game itself and everything else around that, So those were big, and I must actually commend you on those, man.
Look, Hennessy was pretty close,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
not better. In fact, I think it was better. It was bigger budgets, more, like it was probably close to what it is, or better than what it is that we used to do. And yes, it must be better because, when you're doing something, you expect people to do better than you. And I'm very, very excited to you and Chris Katzadi for you, for you guys to grow from there. Obviously,
absolutely.
I'm not trying to do those type of events. We wanted to now at some point grow basketball at a much higher level instead of just doing one-time things that don't necessarily last. So,
Absolutely.
there is space for people to
grow
in that space.
Yes, sir. So now, fast forward to 2021.
Yes, sir.
And
We're about to get serious now.
Oh yeah, absolute. I think we've given the people a bit more background about who this gentleman is. You know, so we fast forward to 2021. How does the conversation, or how do you come to the decision to actually say, you know what, with everything that I've done for basketball and through basketball, the next step for me is president?
Yeah, so it's three things. And it's easier when you say three so people can really follow what it is that you say instead of just blabbering on. The first thing is my passion for basketball. I needed to give back to basketball because I believe it has done so much for me. Now, I am who I am because of basketball. I just felt like, I live, eat, and smell basketball everywhere I go. And that passion will be with me probably to my death. That is the very first and very easy decision, one of the decisions. The second one was the fact that I got involved in the Masters. Obviously, as you grow, you play in your age group, and felt, as part of the Masters, you then become part of Basketball South Africa, because at Masters, soon as we decided to host that, you become, part of the committee of the Masters executive, which then obviously leads to the fact that if you want to run for president, then you can. Absolutely. So that was the second. The third was that, in the meetings that we had within Basketball South Africa, our current and then president, Sanele Mtiani, decided, he said to everybody else, with everybody listening, that, he thinks what it is that he has done for basketball was enough, and he was looking to step out, which for me was to say, okay, let's wait and see who is willing to do this crazy, unthanked job.
Yep.
And for a while, I really thought about it hard to say, will I be able to? do I have the time for it? Will I be able to give basketball what it is that it needs? Especially when you can see in the social media, everybody was just ranting about what it is that basketball needs and what must happen and all of that and everything there. I mean, on our Young Legends chat, we had a very long chat about why we think basketball was failing in South Africa. And I just felt like, okay, if there's not going to be anybody who puts their hand up to be able to run for this position, hey, I think I've got the qualities. And yes, if you look at my track record in terms of, the business of basketball, not necessarily the politics of basketball, I've been able to be successful in the little things that I've managed to do. And it would have been not easier, but probably fitting for me to be able to get in there and bring what I felt basketball did not have, and it was time and the business view of basketball.
And let me tell you the excitement because firstly there's the frustration, of inactivity internationally, inactivity or even less, lack of visibility from leadership at points, And part of the excitement that I know I saw and felt was, wow, here is a candidate that is a bit more relatable to the basketball player and someone that we would have seen along the way because of events that you would have organized in the past, because of open runs that you are at playing, because of your own home that you've opened up for ball players to come in and play. So there was that excitement because of that relatability where everyone feels that they've got access to you, And what were some of your plans and visions for the association?
Look, first of all, let me tell you, this is no easy task. I did not even think it was going to be easy to even move the needle just one bit.
Yeah.
It would have been a tough job to do, and I was very much aware of that. The two things that I mentioned was time. You need time. Basketball needs time. So the way I put it to people is to say that I run a business and I've managed to make sure that the business can run without me, and therefore I can do other things that I may be passionate about or things that I want to do, and that really opened up for me to be able to have time to think things through. If you are running a business and you don't have time for it, you will not be successful. If you put 5%, you get 5% back.
Correct.
It just works like that. Yes, it's a lot of luck, it's a lot of people who are supporting you, and then there's like a whole lot of other aspects. But ultimately, you just have to have time. You have to have time to go meet with the people that are relevant within the sport to make the sport successful. You have to have time to take the call, to write the proposal, and to think it through, to think the strategy, and obviously put people to account that are around you. If somebody is going to be is sitting in the competitions commission, you have to have deadlines, and you have to be able to say, look, by this date we need to have this, that, and the other. Unfortunately, the way it's constructed, the way the federation is that it takes that political form, the political format. Unfortunately, you can't say, Juice, I need this, that, and the other, and Juice doesn't deliver and you fire Juice. It doesn't work like that. And also, Juice has to be elected into that position. Whether or not Juice has done that in the past, you just hope that if he hasn't done it, he can actually learn to do it. Because remember, as a leader, you're just as good, and as your success base is based on the team that you have.
Absolutely.
So the fact that a person can be voted into a space does not necessarily mean that person will be successful at it. And we see it even in our government. And I'm not in any way saying that people who are in those positions that they find themselves in are not capable. But ultimately, it's whether or not, when it comes to it, you can actually put pen on paper and come up with a strategy or something that works. But also another thing that I spoke to you about, Juice, was to say that I had some successes in raising money, and I think loosely put, money that has come through the business or through my influence over the years that I've been in basketball would not be anything less than 50 million, if not 100 million. And if you start speaking those numbers, I mean, you look at basketball right now, not even one person could say they would have done any deal further, upwards of 10 million at one go. And yes, it was over time, and it was through this relationship. And you want somebody that is able, well, that's what I thought I was bringing, Was that a bug?
Yeah, flew past.
Right.
Yeah.
You want somebody that would actually be able to speak the lingo, because this is a business.
Yes,
you know,
sir.
basketball should be a business. If you're going to be reliant on government funding forever, it's not sustainable. I mean, already our government is struggling with basic things. Now, if you're going to be expecting government to be able to give you those basic things
all the way
to
through,
survive,
yeah.
then you're already a failed state, let alone a failed basketball association. So I was thinking maybe, I would like to bring some of that experience and some of that excitement to basketball as a president. But needless to say, if you're going to go into a politically structured environment, you need to understand the politics, you need to understand how it all works, you need to immerse yourself in it so that you actually understand the detail of it, so that you do not also do things in a way that someone can find fault that you did not follow a certain government procedure and therefore you did not do things right.
And I think right on that point, I'd actually like to send a shout out to Charles Saunders. A while back he came in and we had a very intense chat as well, where he shared information all the way to being the former or maybe now current administration. They reached their mandate successfully, and everything that they were mandated primarily to do, they achieved. So in that, definitely shout out to President Cyril Mtiani and his administration, because then while not all of us may have been clear about that mandate, but to have some bit of surety to say that no, they reached it. So now that is where you want to perhaps maybe pass the baton to say, okay guys, so we were able to clean up to this point. Now we are ready to now get more business minds coming in to say, all right, what else now what other dots can we connect for basketball to make sure that business starts coming in, because everything that had to be cleaned up has been cleaned up.
Look, I won't mention or talk about things that do not affect me directly, because I cannot speak on behalf of anyone.
Sure.
Charles said what he said, and some people do not agree with him in whichever capacity. And yes, it's not like at the time I was interested in running for president, so I wasn't quite following what it is that was happening in basketball South Africa. But maybe that is the problem. People who have vested interest in basketball don't even know and don't even ask the questions. So if you do not know what the mandate is, or did not know what the mandate was, and you are a astute basketball follower, then there's something wrong with the whole system. Then that means we are not as invested in basketball as we should be, because the structure allows you to ask the questions you want to know.
So now, would you say then that part of the challenge for basketball is the visibility from leadership?
Not only that, it's got a lot to do with me. It starts with me.
Okay.
It starts with you. It starts with everyone on the ground. It doesn't matter whether the person out there could shout, let's play basketball. Ultimately, it starts with me and you. If we are not asking the right questions, we are not in the meetings, we're not showing up on time for our own teams, we have not registered the clubs right, we are not paying our fees into the district clubs, we are not part of the district associations, we are not, and we expect things to happen at the top. Come on.
Absolutely.
Ultimately, people can be put to account if the ground, the clubs on the ground are solid. So, if I were to ask you, is Young Legends structured? Is it registered? Is it, I also play also for Mambas. You also know about Phoenix. If one person had to ask you, is any of these teams registered as a club, a true club, and ticks all the boxes? Chances are not. So it cannot be that we're shouting, hey, this is what's happening at BSA, they're not doing this, that, right? But you are not on the ground, you're not strong enough to be able to ask the right questions, because it could be as simple as, who are you to ask me? Oh, okay, I'm Juice, I play for Young Legends. Are you registered? Registered as what? As a club? Are you registered as a district? And that's really the basis of it all.
Absolutely.
And this is probably one of the biggest things that I've come to realize, that it doesn't matter whether I'm passionate and I want to become the president of Basketball South Africa. First, understand what the Constitution says and what it is that you have to do in order for you to grow up the ladder. I can tell you right now, if you want to be the president of Basketball South Africa, you can be, but you can't be if you don't do the things right,
Absolutely.
right at that grassroots level.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So one thing that I've learned, and it's something that's probably, to answer a lot of questions that people have been asking themselves on Let's Talk Basketball SA, is that people keep complaining about what is wrong at the top. And no one talks about what is wrong at the bottom. You literally have to know your constitution. You have to register your club. It has to be registered with the district. Yeah, because the only way this person, Juice, can ultimately become the president of Basketball South Africa is if Juice has become a player, and maybe you become a coach and maybe administrator. Then you were in JBL, and then you were in GBL or GBA. So JBA, GB, as in Johannesburg Basketball Association, then Gauteng Basketball Association. If you are a chairperson there, then you can be voted in to become the Basketball South Africa president. Which means what? You've come from the bottom and you've successfully grown your club and you grew through the structures right to the top. So if a person says, but why don't these guys leave? Where you gotta be this, and you're complaining, but who are you to say that? All that noise is gonna end up on social media. What you need to do is to show your success. It's like in the Chinese model, to become the president, you have to have started at your community. Let's see how successful at community. Let's see how successful at your basketball club. Correct. Let's see how successful your club could be. That's why people can vote you to become something bigger, because they feel they want to pull that energy from the club that you had, and you take it to the district, you take it to the province, then you take it to the national.
So I want to go for a quick break. But before I do, I want to maybe lay a question that I'd love for you to answer after the break. Not maybe a question, but in your mind, I would like for you to give us an ideal picture of what you would love to see basketball through Basketball SA, maybe. I want you to paint me a picture of, according to you, what is the ideal situation of Basketball SA, its operations, and the success of basketball in the country.
Okay.
But we'll answer that after the break.
Mame.
Ladies and gentlemen, again, it's an intense one. That's why we had to be sober for this one. No drinks today. But trust me, we'll be back right after the break. So stay tuned for more with my man, Cab's Love, Cabby Magongwa. That's right.
Let's go.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Still your boy Sensei Juice, the mogul, chilling with my main man here, the real mogul. So let me tell you guys. So after the break, before the break, pardon me, we were getting a lot of higher learning from our brother Cabs, and I think I asked a very interesting, maybe open-ended question.
Yeah.
And I would like for you to please take us and paint a picture for us to say, what can Basketball South Africa be?
Right. First of all, Basketball South Africa is you and me.
Yes.
And I'll always bring it right back to us. It's not the executive. It's not everybody else that's moving around that you can point a finger at. Basketball South Africa means you. You. It's like when you say, but South Africa does this, that, and you're not counting yourself in there. We are Basketball South Africa, so we are unsuccessful. I'm unsuccessful. The fact that I'm not seeing my club or my team or the South African team in competing at the highest level within the FIBA structures is because me, Cabby, did not do what I gotta do to do my part in basketball. And I think that is probably the first and foremost. And I think people are probably going to be a little upset with that little statement, because it's probably those kind of people who would rather just go onto the social medias and literally go crazy. And yes, everybody is allowed to do and say whatever they want, but ultimately Basketball is not going to be run by a few people at the top to try and make it successful. You need to be involved. And yes, we got involved at very simple levels. Sometimes it's getting involved even when it's painful.
Yes, sir.
Because yes, it takes time away from your family, takes time away from your business or your work. It's long hours of debates, but ultimately it's about the people who are passionate about it to really put in the passion. And we must understand that we're not all going to have similar ideas. So what I did not like around, on being part of Gauteng Basketball Association or Joburg Basketball Association is that people are so passionate about their ideas that they want to argue all night. Sometimes it's okay to just let one go. And you find that it's not going to make a big difference anyway.
Correct.
So it's really just having something that guides the argument in terms of the Constitution, and then speak to the Constitution, not your feelings. So personally, I think what basketball needs, and it's very simple, is for every club to be registered as a club, and every club to be affiliated to its district, and every district to be affiliated to its province.
Absolutely.
Because in there, you'll find the best basketball club winning the best basketball tournaments or leagues in order for them to give us the best basketball at national level and therefore international.
Absolutely.
If that happens, and I know it needs money, it needs time, people can do what it is that they do. And I'm sure clubs right now, if anybody is sitting and say we're waiting for sponsors, there's social media now. Social media, unfortunately, has taken over the budget. If you coming and say, I want a sponsor because I've got like about 20 people who like to play basketball, 20,000 rand, that won't do much for that club, can do a lot for that company on social media.
Absolutely.
So the thought process has to be different. If you are going to be saying, look, we want a sponsor, you need to be able to be in the community and mobilize people to be part of whatever it is that company or that establishment that you're trying to sponsor, to have them to sponsor you, to say this is how we will help you reach out to the community, make sure they support you, like bring the numbers, because marketing is one thing, sales is another. So you can come out there and say brand exposure. You're going to go to MTN and say, we'll give you brand exposure. What is it that you can do for MTN that MTN can't do for itself?
Absolutely.
Most of these brands that have the money are not after exposure.
Yes,
they're about the fact that people must love them and people must actually support them. So if we can we mobilize and make sure that if it's ShopRite in the area or you're speaking to whoever, and you don't go for the big bucks, 20,000, 50,000, those guys got those kind of monies. But actually, the word must go around. You tell them exactly what it is that you're going to do as a club to mobilize people in the community to support this very company that supports us. So that's the first thing. So that's really where you can get your funds. And a lot of times it's really to buy kits, to be able to travel. It's not a lot of money. And the more you can show that this money is worth it for them to keep giving you, the bigger the budget, because there's always a big budget and you get a small piece.
Of course.
But the more you're more important to the company, the more it'll start to support you. So you start small, you get 5 grand, or you get kit, then you get balls and kit and balls, and next year this, that, and you grow it like that. Then it becomes powerful, it becomes a community team. And by the time it's a community club, the parents start to support it because their kids want to go there. And when the parents support it, some parents are working in companies that they can also ask for donations or whatever the case may be. And that's really how it becomes a really formidable club. And that's how you can raise money to be able to go and compete and travel and do all those things. Now imagine if that is happening 100 times over. If it's 10,000 rand for a club and it's happening 100 times over, 1,000 times over, that's the amount of money that is invested in basketball. So it is not for Cabby to come and say, oh yeah, no, I will raise money for each and every one of you. I mean, what kind of money will I be raising to be able to? There's no amount of sponsorship that will be 10 million and it gives you 10 million just by sponsoring teams. So people need to get out of this, the comforts of just talking about basketball and be about it. Be the change you want to see.
Man, I'm over here taking notes and I'm supposed to be asking the questions. Let me tell you. And I think, again, it speaks about the database, because the more you can do that from community level up, it means that whatever companies are being approached, it's easy for you to give the actual numbers, to say, listen, these are the numbers of the kids that we've got playing the game.
Right.
because now you're not thumb sucking anything, but you've got proper databases that actually speak about all the participants in the sport, and that certainly goes a long way for corporate to measure up their involvement.
That's right. And we had someone who we interviewed here, Relton, who's the coach of the Tigers. He has the system.
Yeah.
Everybody must just buy into the system. It helps you to figure out how to register a club,
Yes, sir.
how to manage a club, financials, and all those things are available. But no one is now reaching out to Relton to say, hey, listen, we are an association. Please help us with the club.
And,
Please help us with the database. Please. We interviewed him, and he
Yes.
said it's readily available. So what if you have to pay
Yes.
300 or 500 whatever for something that would be so hard to do yourself? You just plug and play. So those are the kind of things that I felt I was going to try and implement. Make sure that when you speak, you say 1,000 people are playing basketball in this community, or 50,000, 100,000 people are playing basketball in South Africa.
And you've got a
You
database
literally
to
have the
back it up.
database.
Yes.
Those are the things that also, that's why I say that, by the time you get to a point where Juice wants to be the president, you are going there with what what's happening on the ground and what it is now. This is where the difference lies now. There will be a lot of players playing for clubs at grassroots level.
Sure.
But there will be a few people that will eventually rise up the ladder to become somebody in basketball, like a president, whatever the case may be. And that's really when you start using what it is that you've learned going up to be able to now look at it from a much bigger scale at a national level, and being able to apply your mind, apply your relationships, what it is that you did that was successful at club level, but doing it for national.
Absolutely.
And really that for me is really what matters, because if you cannot show success at club level, show success at provincial or district level, then what makes me believe that you'll be able to be successful when you get to the top?
Absolutely.
So that's how I think what I was hoping basketball would become, or at least what it is that I'll try to implement to try and empower people, skills transfer. These are the things. This is what a PowerPoint should look like. This is what a registered club should look like. Let's, inspire people, get people to want to be a part of something bigger than just always talking and, pointing out the bad and never the good, But unfortunately, we find ourselves where we are, and I'm hoping this interview here will inspire people. I have no ambitions to become basketball South African, the president of basketball South Africa. To be honest, it was just one of those things that I did because I felt I had the time. But I don't see myself sitting 4 years and then trying to do this again. And, you never know what happens in 4 years. But for me, I would rather have people who want to be schooled on how to get this right. And the reason why we're having this interview is I can tell you very, very simply what happened in the presidential run. I was part of. So I ticked a lot of things were ticked up. I was part of. So in the basketball federation, that's affiliates.
Yes, sir.
It's all the provinces that makes the 9 provinces. So each one has to have like the chairperson of each and every province who form part of Basketball South Africa. Then the chairpersons of and I suppose one other person of the executive team from province and affiliates, which is the USA, schools, wheelchair basketball, BNL, Masters. They also form part of the BSA. So when you say BSA failed us, I was a part of it, right? Because it was BSA, and then those people then elect the executive. Then the executive is the one. Executive obviously is the decision-making body. I mean, if you want to go left, this is the decision that will come from the executive, and you have to trust that, they would have applied their mind to say we're going left or right or whatever. And yes, they might understand the politics and they'll have access to the politics. So in my case, I was legible for this, and I feel that if it was a situation where it was fair playing grounds, it would have been where I had a good chance of becoming the South African the president of Basketball South Africa. And unfortunately, there was a document that was required to be sent on a Saturday at 3, and the closing time was at 6. 3-hour window on a Saturday. I was probably at a wedding or whatever, and we just couldn't send that document.
Wow.
And it was just because of that compliance. And I don't think anybody else, personally, has sent it. But if you're an executive and you're running the meeting, it's like if somebody comes here. If we want you to be quiet, we'll just turn off your your mic, and then we continue as if everything is perfect, and then we turn it on if you want to say. But if you say, you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, in a space where people are running the meeting and the executive is running the meeting, you're only allowed to say what they feel you want to say. You can't ask questions. You can't check certain things or whatever. But if honestly everybody had to go out there and check who actually sent that document by the deadline, I think no one.
Wow.
But because we didn't sign it, and certain people who were not in line with certain, certain executives, I would like to think, alignments, with, everybody else was shut down, and, you decide how the procedure is going to go. And really, and that doesn't even bother me because, in hindsight, you realize actually that would have taken a whole lot of time, and you just say, okay, you hope that, the people who are eventually elected will do good by basketball. And, it's really whether or not we are seeing it, that things are happening or not. What they say about the pudding, the proof is in the pudding.
The proof is in the pudding.
Yeah, so they were elected, and we'll see in the next four years what happens. It's almost how many months now, and we're still waiting to see what's going on. And there's no word, there's no any kind, none. I haven't seen any kind of communication. So the fact that I do not know, you do not know, and nobody knows what's the strategy, where we're going, it almost says, what was the whole point?
Correct.
What was the whole point? I would have had time. We created this so that we can share information. I would have been here talking about this is what we need basketball to, this is where we're going with basketball. Even if nothing is happening, at least somebody must know why nothing is happening. And that just gives hope that people would want to hold on to. But right now, if you're quiet and you've been elected, or, I don't know if it inspires anyone to be quiet.
And I think on my side, these are conversations that have been had that, we continue to hope, that one of these days we will have a representative from the body that can come out and actually speak to the people, speak to the game.
This is why we created this.
Absolutely.
This is why we created this.
So that at the end of the day, if there is any sort of help that is needed, is communicated and heard firsthand, because if anything, there are a lot of resources within the game. And one of the things that we continuously try to inspire is action out of people, so that you're not just sitting in a corner making a whole lot of record, but no action. We continue to look to inspire action. I mean, basketball is one of the biggest sporting codes in the world. It's an Olympic sport. And for me, I would expect that anyone that's involved in any level of leadership of the game would always have that in hindsight to say, what, this is an Olympic sport, and at what am I doing from grassroots development all the way to the most senior of participation, But again, it's just one of those things where you continuously look and say, sharp, how do we then even suggest advisory committees? Because looking at the current body of structure, would you believe that there is a need for an advisory committee that is independent of the actual executive?
Look, just I'll be the last person to say whether or not the committee that's there is good or not. How do you judge that?
How do you measure that?
How do you measure it? How do you even know what it is that are being done? Maybe there are things that are happening in the various provinces that we don't know about, and kudos to those things that are happening. Unfortunately, there's gotta be somebody who communicates what it is that is happening. Ultimately, me and you are waiting to see where's the national team, when are they playing, because that's how you know that the national committee is busy. But if we are dissatisfied about the current executive or structure, whatever, we need to do what it is that I told you.
The groundwork.
If next year or 4 years down the line, the clubs that are here today are not registered, they are not, they're not affiliated to the district, they are not in the province, then we might as well just say basketball in South Africa is going nowhere. It starts with us.
Wow.
It starts with us.
It's incredible.
And we have 3 years, 3.5 years now, because the elections just happened. So you have time. You can consult. We have Relton, who has the system. We have all these things that we have spoken about on this show. that has seriously guided a certain direction that people can take to empower themselves.
Absolutely.
And the moment you start saying BSA, SF, BSA is only the executive or the body right at the national, then that's where you already lose it. You must start with you. Have I done all the things that I would have done if I was a president? And those are the things that I'm talking about.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that is the perfect place to end it. Because at the end of the day, I am BSA, you are BSA, we are BSA, and everything that we continue to have as an ambition for the game lies with us.
It's your brick.
It's your brick.
You gotta have a brick.
And that is exactly why we do what we do. That is why each and every Wednesday night we try to come into your homes and talk about it, because we are trying to inspire each and every one of us to bring a brick so that we lay the foundation of the future of the game that we love. And right there, I'd like to take another break so that we can have a quick breather, and then we will come back and talk about goats.
The goat debate, baby.
The
the
goat
goat debate. Who's the real goat?
And right there, we are back. Still, Sensei Juice, Tar Heels, the mogul. Chilling with my man, the other mogul, the real mogul. You know, when you talk about people that continue to lay a groundwork for basketball, you know, I mean, I've known this gentleman for years, and it was through the ESPN events and everything. And to this day, you know, you continue to do a lot of great work in the game. And for me, I just love, I mean, even this platform in itself, you know, for these are just some of the bricks that you continue to lay over the years, man. And anything else that you'd like to say to the people, actually, before we go GOAT?
Man, I think I've said my piece. And for me, it was one of those experiences where, you know, I think people got excited about the fact that I was running for president, and I had a lot of support, a lot of support. And it was something that has been eating at me to say, people were excited about this, but they haven't really heard what happened. It was almost like, the elections happened, and it just shut down, and Cabby just kind of like removed himself. And really, what was happening in my mind was to say, let me congratulate the president.
Yes, sir.
And let me be okay with the fact that even if I was dissatisfied with how the whole thing went, let me be okay with that. Congratulate the current president and his team, and that's how I got even involved in the BAL tournament that was happening here, the Elite 16, is to show that, you know what, let me continue doing what it is that I do. We invited the president to the platform. We invited other people in BSA. We helped out the best way we can. But I don't think I've said anything that was untruthful. And I did not bash anyone.
Correct.
But I needed for people to know what happened so that they can all learn from it. And the learning is that if you want to be part of Basketball South Africa, and you want to be part of the executive, prove it in your way up.
Correct.
Prove it at your club, prove it at your district, prove it at your province. Then maybe people will say that guy is the best guy for the job.
And I know you've spoken about a lot of the different challenges. You know, you've just mentioned now that one document that may have hindered compliance, you know. But when looking back at, let me say, your campaign, what other challenges do you think you faced or you went through in that entire process?
Look, I didn't think it was about challenges. It was really about convincing people what it is that I was bringing.
Correct.
What was my brick? And the biggest brick was my time.
Yes, sir.
Basketball people don't have time. The reason why the NBA is doing so well is because people leave home to go to work to go do nothing but basketball. They discuss basketball, they talk they strategize basketball, they have meetings about basketball.
Yes, sir.
And for as long as this is not what you do every day, it's going to be a problem trying to think that the 1% that you put into basketball is going to bring 100% back. You must know, even the NBA, by looking at South Africa, they're not going to just throw in money because we are in South Africa. It is what is the value that we can bring to them in order for them to reciprocate.
Absolutely.
And maybe the NBA is a bad example. Any other brand. What is it that you're bringing to me in order for me to be part of it? So the work has to be done. There is no other way. There's not going to be a silver bullet. The work has to be done. And for me, it wasn't much about the presidential campaign. It was more about the thought process and the strategy, the thinking behind what happens next after you become president. What is it that you want to do as soon as you become president in order to propel the basketball conversation and the basketball action and the things that needs to happen in basketball forward? I wasn't going to do it by my own because you're only one person. You can't have like 1,000 hands everywhere.
Correct.
But certainly it was about inspiring people on the ground. People gotta love you, gotta be inspired, gotta wanna do what it is that you're talking about. They gotta see the vision. You gotta talk to them all the time. You gotta be excited about what it is that you are about. And if you can't inspire me, why would I wanna do something that will support what it is that you want to happen?
Absolutely.
So you're not communicating, you're not telling me, you don't have the time, you don't have the. Those are the things that for me, I was saying my time is what I'll put to basketball. Even if after 4 years, all you've done is just got everyone ready,
yes, sir,
and the next person is the action person,
yes, sir,
then that would have me passing on the baton,
yes, sir,
to the next person that says, now everybody's ready, everybody's excited, let's go do this thing, and the millions of people are playing basketball.
And
without people who are playing basketball being on a database on knowingly exactly where everybody else is, hey, we can talk basketball all we want on the break, on social media, blame this, blame that, we might as well just write basketball off.
Wow. Might as well just write basketball off. Straight off from Olympic participation, straight off of 3x3 participation,
All of it.
Straight off of Slaughterhouse, straight off of Kukuletu Langa UCT, no more basketball.
No, people can play.
Because I'm not coming in there
People
with
can play.
everything else.
Yeah, we play here.
Because you want
but
to shut up
it
and
ends
dribble
here.
all the time.
We play here, it ends here.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
play at Slaughter, it ends at Slaughter. You play at Vets, it ends at Vets.
So let's grow it.
We gotta grow it. Everybody must be a part of something bigger than just the club, bigger than just themselves.
And actually, to your point, I would actually think that the example you made about the NBA is actually a perfect one. Just simply because NBA Africa established their first office in the continent right here up the road. For the fact that we have had basketball without borders coming to South Africa so for many years on end, to me it says that we have had ample opportunity to even go learn, take a bit by bit and steadily execute where it comes to the growth of our game, our own ambitions, you know what I mean? So the NBA is not a bad example to give, because they steadily come closer to home, they are that close to home.
Like I was saying, I have time for basketball, and I was sitting in a meeting with the NBA folk today.
Come on, man.
And
that's why you dress so snazzy.
And he was saying, he was a few other meetings, but yeah. And he was saying, look, what he's seeing in Africa, and what basketball is at, it's about to blow. It's about to blow. South Africa is not one of them.
Sure.
He's based here in South Africa, but
He's
it's blowing up,
Africa, yeah,
but not here.
Wow.
So it doesn't matter where the offices are. Bottom line is, the mojo will go where the mojo is.
Correct.
Game recognized game. If you're putting in the work, people will support that.
It will all come to fruition.
And if we're sitting and waiting, unfortunately, we'll sit and wait.
Man.
And it all starts with me.
And me. And
so stop. Yeah, you gotta stop pointing fingers, man. If 4 years down the line we still have the structure we don't like, is because we all don't want to see basketball grow. That's just period.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, that is the full stop.
Yes, sir.
And I think that is the exact moment where I'd like to now cross it over.
Cross it over.
I'd like to cross it over to say now we come to the GOAT debate.
That's right.
It's time for our lifestyle segment.
Yeah.
So I came in here and I'm seeing two beautiful pairs of shoes.
That's right.
And man, do you want to speak about these?
Look, this is what inspired this, right? So initially when we started speaking to Shesha, we were thinking, we'll go to Shesha Lifestyle.
Yeah.
Follow them. They got some really nice, basketball gear. And now they are saying that they're about to launch. Well, they've launched Hoops Lounge, which sells exclusively basketball stuff. And there's something else that is happening, which we won't talk about. And of course, if you're watching the show, we're talking to Shesha to give our viewers some crazy discounts, not just a 10% discount or 5%, crazy discounts. And that we're going to open it up as soon as it's ready, and we have a system of getting the vouchers out. So even production is going to get even better discount.
Woohoo!
Yeah. Even better discounts.
That's right.
So thanks to Shesha for allowing us to feature some of these shoes. And what inspires this is that obviously when we started with this, it was the battle of the point guards.
Yes, sir.
Then it was the battle of the old school.
Absolute.
Now it's the battle of the GOAT.
Man.
And it was really inspired by this other YouTube thing that I got, like the GOAT debate.
Yeah.
And this guy went, stats on stats. And I will post it on my social page and on Let's Talk Basketball. I think that is one little piece of information that settles this.
Yes, sir.
But I'm not going to go on that because I'm not going to break it down by the stats. People must just go out there and watch it. But I thought, you know what? Let's bring it in
the spirit
of
yes.
The battle of the GOATs, the GOAT debate, to say we got some beautiful shoes. We got LeBron, multicolored, heavily colored, beautiful shoe out there, and of course the Michael Jordan. Everybody knows Jay is on my feet.
Come on, man.
So
come on, man.
We got the current, we got the old school, but the old school is still relevant.
Yeah, of course.
Cut across lifestyle.
Of course.
But hey, we can't deny that LeBron is, like at his age, he's just doing some crazy things. So the longevity on LeBron is next level.
You definitely have to commend, man. The guy puts a lot of effort and a lot of work on his body, his physique, and just being all-round student of the game.
Yeah.
And he's done it for so many years, and you just continue to be so impressed. He just broke the scoring record. He's almost there because he surpassed Karl Malone the other day.
That's right.
Wait, hang on. Yeah, he's left with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar now.
Correct.
So, I mean, it's just so incredible, everything that he continues to achieve. Even though my Lakers, his Lakers, our Lakers are doing so bad this season, they're even so close to missing out on the play-ins. But individually, as a player, LeBron James is just incredible. You got to love him.
Look, the guy is, as he gets older, he literally is playing some of the best basketball, especially at that age. Anyway, if you watch this YouTube page that I'm going to post, they'll show you performance.
Yes.
With age, and he's right now sitting above the rest, above MJ, above
Kareem,
Kobe, and the rest,
yeah.
and Kobe and them. He's incredible.
Yes, sir.
But some people would like to bring it down to how many rings, and 6 in 6, and the rest of them. So that is something that I think anybody that follows the brick should be able to go and watch. We'll also post it on the brick.
Absolutely.
And but let's get into the shoes, man. Everybody knows how they play, or at least some of the kids wouldn't have seen Michael Jordan play. But hey, there's footage. You can go on YouTube. What do you say, Juice? Here are the shoes, man. We got the red and black and the multicolored LeBron.
I mean, the LeBron 18s lows. At first sight, you think, man, these would do nice for a walk in the beach. Or, man, I'm too old school to be rocking these bright colors, But when you look at the detailing and the aesthetic of the shoe, you definitely gotta love it. I especially love that on the 18s on the side, it even gives it says this makes me very angry. Those are Bugs Bunny quotes, because you see the Toon Squad makeup as well. The Toon Squad logo on there. So it's quite interesting because shout outs to obviously Space Jam 2 and the collaboration with Disney World and all that. You've got alternate shoelaces, they're all red. I can't imagine how this shoe will look with red laces now as well on to go along with all the colors, but you have to appreciate, the work that Nike continues to do. The ankle protection feels firm and nice, so it's definitely dope, man.
I like the badge at the back, multicolored badge at the back.
The King's Throne.
That's right.
There's the King's Throne at the back, man. So you
like
have
that.
to definitely appreciate the detailing as well. There's pink swoosh,
Pink swoosh.
the pink Nike swoosh.
Nothing wrong with these colors nowadays. Nothing wrong with these
wearing
colors.
pink. Real men wear pink, they say. So we definitely gotta appreciate all that.
That's right.
So it's a very beautiful shoe to rock.
Right.
And
So-
then you cross it over.
Then we go to MJ, right? Do we have camera close up here? Because we gotta go to the MJ so people can see. I wish I had that thing that could kind of like
To auto-rotate.
to auto rotate it, so that you kind of see when they say J's on my shoes.
Yeah, there you
J's
go.
on my feet.
Oh man, that's dope.
This is what's happening. You can see the back. Look at that. Look at that.
Man, that's beautiful.
Anyway,
and
personally, I think first of all, I think he's the GOAT.
yeah. I mean, no arguments
just so that
there.
we get that conversation out the way.
Out the way.
Out the way
I,
quick.
I don't argue with old school.
Yeah, I'm old school. I like color, but I think that was one color too many. I think this particular LeBron's, obviously I chose those because that was what was available to me. So I like the simpler, gray, black, red. I think this was really nicely done. And yeah, man, I think between the two, I'm taking this home, man, because this, I can imagine my daughter wearing that, or maybe my son, because hey, they metrosexual.
Yeah, the
So I'll be the old school guy, and I'll go with the J's, man. And then of course, GOAT is GOAT.
Let me tell you, I don't know if it's coincidentally or luckily to go with the jacket that I'm wearing today. I think I would also rock with the GOAT, because again,
Wearing the North Carolina back in college.
Hey man, I'm all
my
Jordan
MJ.
today.
Hey, this
Triple
guy.
MJ,
Hey, this guy. Hey, this guy.
So-
Are the shoes MJ?
Nah, well, I'm fine. Well, they're Carolina blue though. So I think because red, black, white has always been Jordan's primary colors.
Right.
You'll always get shoes in different colors and stuff, but a lot of the Jordan shoes that come out, the primary colors will usually be red, black, and white. I actually love the Oreo touch on the sides of these, man, around the bubble. So, and actually, you see that translucent rubber right there?
yeah.
Semi-transparent and all that.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I think for me, I would also go with the J.
Right.
I'd definitely take the J home. I've got a friend of mine who would usually say that he loves Jordan. He loves the Jordan brand, and he'll always say you will never see him wear a Jordan shoe that MJ himself never played in.
There you go.
So he's that retro. He's that old school type of guy.
But then what happens with these new designs where he stopped playing? I mean, he's not touching that?
He's not touching them.
All right. Well, I'll touch all of this. I believe in the technology, so I'm hoping that they,
Yeah.
whatever that made him amazing.
Yeah,
I also
I mean,
want to be like,
absolutely,
everybody
absolutely.
wants to be like Mike.
Man, and let me tell you, I was so jealous of my same guy. A few weeks ago, he received delivery of the 1992 Jordan. Was it the Jordan 8 that Michael played in Barcelona?
Wow.
Man, when that shoe arrived, he was like, "Yo, listen, look at this."
Look
and
at
it's got
this.
the number 9 behind on the shoe itself. So, man, yeah. So shout outs to my guy.
We need to feature some of these guys.
Yeah.
Feature some of these guys.
Most def, man.
Look, I'm sold with Shasha, and like I said, production team, you got the big discount that I communicated earlier. You guys out there, we will be giving you the best discount you've ever experienced within the Shesha stores, the lunch stores, and something amazing that will be coming out, but it will be launched when it's launched, so I don't want to be the guy that...
Let me tell you, the best discount that you can give me is for free.
Hey, you are so black. This guy. Nothing is for free nowadays. But yeah, we'll talk to them. We'll see what happens. Maybe they throw some things our way. Remember, this show needs to deliver the numbers.
Yes,
this
sir.
show needs to deliver whatever content that we deliver. And ultimately, when we show value, they will show value.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
For you guys out there at home, when you're supporting the break and you're watching the break, we're going to throw some of these discounts your way, and hopefully you get to enjoy, the reason why you enjoy the content that we bring. And obviously, Shesha will recognize that in time.
And to that point, man, I'd just like to give a shout out to everybody who continues to watch the show, but just don't forget to subscribe, like the pages, subscribe on the page, and follow us for all the updates and stuff that we continue to bring,
Love it.
Because at the end of the day, we are always looking to bring you the best of the best as far as conversation and inspiring action is concerned.
Let's go. Man, you should become the anchor, man.
Man, I'm ready for ESPN.
I'm going to be in Cairo all, 2 weeks. Maybe this show can go on without me, what I'm saying?
Man, so let me tell you. So actually, good luck on the trip, man. Bon voyage on that,
Thank you so much, man. We've been in support of the Tigers. We'll continue to be in support. And I think this, for me, is going to be big in terms of watching them on the big stage. That when we first talked about the Tigers, and the production crew here, the sheriff was covering them. We never knew. We did not know we will be here even talking about going to visit Egypt and watching them live. So for me, I'm very excited. It's going to be one of those amazing moments just doing basketball out in Cairo. And yeah, maybe I'll take a picture by the pyramids.
And it speaks.
And send it out and say, yo, the brick by the pyramids. What's
more
up?
Bricks.
More bricks. This
More
is
bricks
what we're
for
trying
the
to
brick. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen,
it's the pyramids, not the pyramids.
It has
did I
been
say the pyramids?
Pyramids, yeah.
I said the pyramids.
Pyramids
right?
with the pharaohs.
Yeah,
pharaohs and all that.
Needed to make sure I got my history right.
Ladies and gentlemen, it has been an incredible episode of The Brick, chopping it up with my guy. Shout outs to our guy, Quinton, getting ready for his trip to Egypt. I'm sure he's packing the sunscreen and the turbans and, Q and all that, man, But we will catch you next week.
I'm not here. You guys will run this.
I'm going to have a house party here next week, man. Pool party and everything. We're going to bring Hennessy out here. Everybody.
So now that I'm gone, right? You'll be the only one out here.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy, Sensei Juice. It's been a beautiful evening. And shout outs to my man, Keb's Love over here. And catch you next time on The Brick, the only show that continues to build basketball one brick at a time. You're ready. Salute.
Let's go.
Take on.